Hello everybody, Cooper here, and welcome to my latest rebuild here on AFL 26. I hope you're all doing very well today, and as you can see, it will be the Richmond Football Club getting the rebuild treatment today. I've decided that this is going to be a rebuild Friday. I think this is what this series is going to be ongoing. We're going to have all other videos throughout sort of Monday and Thursday, and then Friday will be the big day for the longer rebuilds. Now, with Richmond, as you know, I did a series with them on AFL 23 that got, I think, 3 or 4 seasons into the future, and we did very, very well. I think we're going to try and do things a little bit more balls to the wall in this rebuild. Try and get things done a little bit quicker because obviously we did West Coast, which did take a few seasons. We've done North Melbourne as well, which took a little bit sort of in that time as well. I think, though, Richmond are probably a bit further along than both of those clubs, to be fair, in their development cycle. So I think we're going to try and get this one done as quickly as possible. Now, with our objective for the season, our big objective, I'm just going to go, let's not try and lose 4 games in a row, because even though I'm going to try and get this done a little bit faster, I don't think we're going to be in the top 8 or the top 6 at any point this season. And I think not losing 4 games in a row, I think that's probably reasonably realistic. On top of that, we've also been tasked with winning 7 games in the home and away season, as well as 5 games from top 6 teams from last year. So we're going to get some really good bonuses for that if we can get that done. I think 7 games is fairly realistic, but as you can see here, obviously Nick Vlosten still here, Hopper, Prestia. We've got guys like Taranto, who are obviously a lot older, Jaden Short as well, in amongst all of the younger talent. But there is also some talent here that could probably be better served on other teams. Players like Josh Gibcus, who just haven't worked out because of many reasons, whether it be injury, whether it be because of opportunity. I think there's a lot for us to do with this initial list. I'm not going to spend too much time going over it initially because we've already covered most of the 2025 Richmond club on AFL 23. So I'm just going to get straight into the 2025 off-season. Let's see how we go, and fingers crossed we don't finish in the bottom 4. Andy Brayshaw with a phenomenal season, 38 Brownlow votes this year, gets a Brownlow medal to his trophy cabinet. Then Tommy Liberatore, 29 votes. Sam Walsh not far behind in third on 27. No Tigers in this one, and that is for a very good reason we'll have a look at in a minute. Joel Amartey actually ends up winning the Coleman medal. Not a common winner that I do see, but a lot of Tigers in the votes for the Rising Star, with Josh Smiley ending up winning for us. He had a very good season, 700 disposals, 14 goals, played every single game. Was very, very happy with his output. And unfortunately, no All-Australians either, but as I said, it's all for a very good reason, because up until about round 16, I don't think we'd actually won a game. Then we won 2 games in a row. Then we lost a few more, and then we beat Geelong in the final game of the season. And funnily enough, we did actually beat Geelong twice. Once down at, I was going to say Skilled Stadium, it's not been Skilled Stadium for a long time, down in Geelong, and then the final game of the season at home, which I think we won by about 70 points in the end. Geelong actually finished in third, which was hilarious, losing the final 3 games of the year. And if we have a quick scout at the finals, we can see that Geelong actually won the Premiership. So considering that we did beat them twice, very, very interesting. They beat the Swans, so the Swans lose another grand final. Dangerfield, 43 disposals. Any goals for Danger on the game? I can't see. But Chad Warner gets the Norm Smith medal for 42 disposals and 3 goals. Probably fair. And statistically for us, there wasn't really a whole lot for us to talk about in this one, considering we were so poor. Harry Armstrong kicked 30 goals for the year, was our leading goal scorer. But if we have a look at the major ball getters, Hopper and Taranto, 2 of the older players on our list, topped the disposal list. Smiley, as we mentioned, was up there. Layla, Taj Houghton, even though he played forward most of the year, did get 500 plus disposals, was very, very good. But there is a lot of work for us to do on this list. And the idiot hat goes to Ben King. We've finally seen someone break the 100 threshold on behinds in a season. And he is the first, I believe, in AFL history to do it. And the first order of business in our offseason is to have a look at player contracts. Now, of the players that are currently uncontracted, obviously we've got Prestia, Tommy Lynch, who I don't even think played for us at all this season. I just wanted to give Jonty Fall and Harry Armstrong a bit of run in the forward line. Judson Clark, who was a big part of our AFL 23 rebuild. Tommy Dow, Camden McIntosh. Now, a lot of these players, I don't actually think I want to bring any of them back, if I'm being perfectly honest. I'm going to say it, basically, unless you're under the age of 20, nobody is safe on this list. Which brings us to free agency and looking at some of the top end talent that is available on this, well, in this class of free agents, I should say. Obviously, Bontempelli at this point in time is still the key name, even though he has signed his contract extension in real life. But there's also Oscar Allen, not that we really need another key forward. We've got more experienced players like Luke Bruce. We've got Ryan Burton, who, from Port Adelaide, if you've been watching my Port Adelaide series, as you know, was very, very good in our grand final. But then we've got other players like Tommy Cole. We've got other players like Jamie Cripps, could be looking for a move back to Victoria. Obviously, he started his career in Victoria, I believe. I can't actually remember who for, but then moved his way over to West Coast. Someone like Matt Crouch could be looking to sort of mirror his brother's career, finish up in Melbourne. So there's a lot of really good options that we could choose from here. And option number one for me is Ed Richards in bulking up our midfield. Obviously, Bontempelli would be lovely, but we also signed him in our most recent rebuild with Melbourne. So I don't think... Actually, no, we signed him in the St Kilda rebuild, not the Melbourne rebuild. I was incorrect. But we're going to go with Ed Richards, as I said. Now, we do still need... Obviously, we want to move on to some of the really sort of older players that are getting towards the back end of their careers, like your Prestias, your Lynches of the world, maybe even your Camden McIntoshes. But we still need to sort of replenish those guys who... have been in the league a long time, that's sort of in the prime of their career, and can still contribute a difference while not hindering the development of those younger players. And I think Ed Richards is the perfect fit. We're going to offer him initially a 6-year deal. I think that will cover at least, I don't anticipate this being a 6-year rebuild, but I think that's probably, unless he has re-signed a contract in real life that I'm not aware of, that's probably what he's going to be getting on the open market. He only wants $880,000 a season, and I'll be happy to give it to him. And just like that, we have our first free agent. Now, I know right now, Tom De Koning, probably the highest profile free agent on the open market right now, in real life, I should say. Obviously, Bontempelli was. And yes, you're probably thinking we do have Nankervis. Now, in my AFL 23 rebuild, I did trade Nankervis very early on. I think it might have been at the end of the first season. We're not going to be doing the same thing here. Although he is older and I think he's still the captain of Richmond if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to try going with De Koning as the second ruck. Actually, we might move Nankervis to being the second ruck and then having De Koning as the first. Again, right in that prime of his career sort of point, I guess. We're also going to offer him a 6-year deal, hopefully on relatively affordable money, which I'm looking like it will be. So $735,000 per season. As you can see, we've got plenty of money to spend in free agency still, without actually having traded anybody away just yet. And just like that, De Koning accepts, and we have our ruck basically sealed up for the video. Last of the big name free agents is actually a little bit controversial. We're going to go after Mark Blixarves, the Geelong veteran, 34 years of age at this point in time. He's actually very close to 300 games for Geelong and obviously just won the Premiership. But I'm sort of viewing this as like a Luke Parker to North Melbourne type signing, except Mark Blixarves is still relatively good. I mean, not that Luke Parker isn't, but Mark Blixarves probably still a little bit more highly rated around the league. Obviously, we're not going to be signing him to a massively long contract, being obviously the age that he is. But I'm quite happy to give him just under $700,000 a season. And, he can start on the bench, he can sort of play on the wing, or he can just sit in the back pocket. I think he's going to do good things for us. Bye-bye, Blixarves from Geelong. Welcome to Richmond. And now that my initial work in free agency is done, anybody else that I sign in free agency will probably just be minor signings, just filling out the back end of the roster. I want to have a look at some of the other players that are on our list. The likes of Jacob Hopper, who we spoke about earlier. Prestia is obviously a free agent. Taranto, who's still relatively good, but Hopper contracted through to 2029. It's a long contract for someone who, probably his rating in game isn't really reflective of a place that we really want to be going in terms of getting some success. But then we've got like Jacob Kajitsky down below, Noah Bolter, and then we've got further down, you know, guys like, I know Tyler Brown. Is this Tyler Brown or Tom Brown? Tom Brown. I'm thinking of a different player. Anyway, Tom Brown is a bit younger than I thought he was. And then Camden McIntosh, again, someone who is out of contract. Obviously, we love the headband, but we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. Nathan Broad, again, a bit older. We'll see how he goes. If not, he'll be out of contract next season. But there's definitely a lot of other players here that we are definitely capable of moving on. We'll just have to see what the trade market presents. Obviously, we've got the #1 pick, which is always useful. I actually haven't had a look at the rookie prospects this year. We can have a quick look at that now. And there's one guy here jumping out at me straight away, and you can go straight to the top of the list in Dominic Lees. 18 years of age, 72 overall rating, which is actually quite high for someone of that overall rating. And then the 85 to 96 potential as well. We scroll further down in terms of player rating to player potential. There's not a lot here, except I've just seen one. Elias Anderson, 18 years of old once again, kicked 10 goals in the state championships, actually the national championships, I should say, but 92 to 99 potential. If we do decide to go with the #1 pick, that could be a player that we do select. In fact, I dare say he will be the player we select. The trade that I'm proposing here is actually pretty identical to one that I did in my AFL 23 rebuild. It's one that I'm calling the Dimmer Cocktail, where we're going to be sending Dion Prestia, Tom Lynch, Camden McIntosh, and Nathan Broad up to the Gold Coast for pick 37 in the national draft. Hopefully, Gold Coast like this deal. They just need some more sort of veterans, and I think this is just going to be a fine deal for them. We get another pick in the draft. This deal just sort of suits everybody. Well done, us. And this next deal that we're going to be doing in the trade period, we're going to be sending Hopper and Taranto, as well as Noah Bolter, basically dumping all of the longer contracts over on the Giants. Sort of similar to the Dimmer Cocktail in a way. Obviously, Hopper and Taranto did both used to play for the Giants back in the day. Noah Bolter clearly likes spending time up in New South Wales, so we thought we would send him up there on a little holiday. And I know Taranto, Hopper combined, you know, possibly could warrant like a very late first round pick. Instead, we're going to be asking for 3 seconds, just because obviously the length of the contract I am taking into consideration. Hopefully, GWS are happy with that, and they are. And our next trade is going to be sending Tommy Dow, Gibcus, and Kajitsky off to St Kilda. We're going to be getting, or trying to get at least a future second round pick and pick 47 in the 3rd round. Kajitsky, obviously a very famous name in St Kilda lore. Tommy Dow, I believe his brother plays for St Kilda, if I'm remembering correctly. And Gibcus, I'm just wanting to move him on. He actually became captain in our AFL 23 series. He's not going to have that fortune here today, unfortunately. Hopefully St Kilda can get something out of him. Actually, they say no to that deal. Let's take out the 3rd round pick. We'll just go for the future second. They still say no. They probably want something from us. We'll give you our 3rd round pick, number 43 overall. They say that we're close. We'll pop it up to 39, and they say yes. And after Sydney lost the grand final, they're probably in the business of recruiting some depth, trying to build up and make another run at the Premiership. So we're going to be sending Ralph Smith, Mansell, and Lafau off to the Swans for pick 17, which is their 1st round pick. Hopefully they say yes to this, and this is why I got those 2nd round picks, just so I'll be able to boost up our draft pool. We're actually going to try it with a 3rd round pick. Instead, they say no, so we'll go to our latest 2nd round pick. They say no to that as well. Let's go 35. Hopefully they say yes to that, and they do. Now, I realize that our trades so far have been just getting rid of players, bringing in picks. Now, while we've been doing that, I've been sort of doing some background research into some players that I would love to bring in. And there is one player that I think would be perfect for this team. He's another midfielder. We're actually not going to do it here, because we're going to try and do it outside of a trade. Now, in my Port Adelaide off-season video, you will know of, I mean, if you have watched it, there was a little bug in the video, and there's a little bug in the game as well, because you can recruit players that are free agents a year in advance. I'm making you guys known about this, so if you want to do it as well, you're obviously more than welcome to. Zach Butters, as we know, is a free agent in 2026, and I think he's a good fit for our side. So we're going to be offering him give him a 7-year deal, because I don't think a 9-year deal for the sake of this exercise is completely necessary. Obviously, we'll bring the money down a little bit. I'm assuming there hasn't been an update for AFL 26, because I'm guessing this will still work. Port Adelaide haven't even tried to deter us whatsoever with that one. So, Butters, welcome aboard. I definitely thought that 1.25 was going to be a little bit too low, considering he was on 1.5 million last season. But here we are. So, Butters, Richards, De Koning, Blixarves, and we've still got a lot of room to do work in the trade period. Because if we have a look at players that are expiring next season, we can see that Ross, Miller, and Nankervis, they're sort of the really big ones. Rioli, I'm a little bit mixed on. I know he's a father-son, but in the game, he's just not very good. And then we've got Alger, Trezise, Fawcett, Seth Campbell, and Steely Green. Steely Green. It's an interesting name, but anyway. So in terms of those guys, I may look into trading some of those other players as well. But if you're on a longer deal and you're still relatively young, I'm still willing to give you an opportunity. But obviously for those older players, you know, the likes of Jacob Hopper and trying to think of his name, Taranto, and players like that, that's obviously a little bit different. But now all of our main players are contracted to either 1 or 2 year deals that were already on at the club previously. Obviously, Butters, Richards, and De Koning are on longer term deals. And in the trade market, you can see that we've still got, you know, obviously the number 1 pick. We've got pick 18, which I'm assuming Port Adelaide would have got some compensation, considering that we just signed Butters, so I'm guessing that's what that would have been. But then we've also got pick 22 in the second round, pick 38, 44, 62, 80, blah, 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 blah. And then we've got a second round pick for next season as well. So I'm going to have a look around, see what we can come up with heading into season 2. Other than that, I think we're pretty much done. Now, I must say that over the course of my rebuild so far, I haven't really traded, I don't think, for a really, really big Coleman level threat as a key forward. Ben King was probably the closest I ever got to that when I did my St Kilda rebuild. But I'm going to go for Charlie Curnow here from Carlton. Now, there has been some rumblings that he's possibly looking for a move out of Carlton next season. But we'll see if we can get the ball rolling. Obviously, we do have Jonty Fall. We've got the likes of Harry Armstrong. But I think those guys could probably use a little bit of sort of mentorship. Curnow's obviously getting a little bit older now. This will be, his 10th season this year. So he's been getting close to 30. But I think if there was a time to get Charlie Curnow on the team, and he's contracted until 2029, which is the only reason I'm doing a 5-year deal, I think we could get a deal done here with Charlie Curnow. Obviously, it would have to be done in a trade. The trade, what it's going to look like, I have no idea. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, I'm not trading the number 1 pick. I've made that very clear, but I'm happy to trade 18. And I guess I will trade my future first as well. Could this be like a Jack Ross spot? Is it Jack Ross? I think it is Jack Ross. Because obviously we've got, you know, Butters and Richards and even Blixarves, but I won't be playing him as a midfielder probably. But then we've obviously got all the other young talent that we've done, or that we've recruited over the course of the last few drafts. You know, your Smileys, your Lawlers, your Laylas of the world. So we just have to wait and see what Carlton would possibly be interested in. This could be a Seth Campbell destination as well. So we'll try 18, future first, Ross and Campbell. I did not expect that to go through. I think it's considering that we do have the number 1 pick in this year's draft, but that was an absolutely outrageous deal for us. I'm very surprised that went through, and my trading difficulty is anything but hardest, which it isn't. I was going to apologize for it, but that was an outrageous deal. I cannot believe we got that done. and we've still got a lot of money to spend. I think anybody that's uncontracted from here, I think I'm just going to let them go. So Kalina, Sonsi, Young, and Hayes Brown, unless you want to sign, unless you want to sign a new contract, I'm not going to re-sign you. He definitely doesn't, and the others don't either. So I'm quite happy with my business in the trade period and free agency. Let's skip forward to the end. We're going to keep the rest of our picks. Trade period is now done. And before we get into the national draft, as always, we're going to have a look at the action around the league. Callum Archie has signed with Port Adelaide. Brisbane have received some compensation for that. Starcevic has gone to North, which is actually very interesting. Oscar Allen goes to Melbourne. Probably not a move that'll happen in real life, but still a very, very interesting deal. Wow, got thrown off by this trade. Jack Buckley has crossed town from the Giants to the Swans in exchange for pick 37 and Sam Wicks. Sam Walsh has been traded from Carlton to Hawthorn in exchange for a future first and pick 13. That is a good deal by, to be honest, both teams, actually. Connor McDonald got traded to Adelaide for pick 11. I actually think that's a deal that happened in my Port Adelaide series as well, now I think about it. Josh Weddle got traded to Collingwood for 2 unused picks. So, they gave him up for free. Interesting. Wanganeen Miller has been traded from St Kilda to Melbourne, along with pick 29 in exchange for 43 and 6. And then we're sort of getting into some of our trades. The Western Bulldogs have traded Ryan Gardner to Essendon for pick 27. Jamara is off to Port as well, along with pick 27 for picks 4 and 5. Wow, that is quite a haul. Jack Bowes and pick 38 got traded to the Gold Coast for a future first round pick and pick 15. Jace Burgoyne's off to Carlton. Petruccelli signed with Essendon. Ollie Dempsey has been traded to St Kilda for 2 picks. Zach Bailey's off to the Eagles in a trade for pick 23. And the Wiz, along with pick 47, has been traded to the Bulldogs in exchange for pick 4 and pick 5. So those same picks that were used to get Jamara from Port Adelaide then got sent to Hawthorn in exchange for Nick Watson. Which honestly is actually quite a smart trade by the Bulldogs, to be fair, because they've already got Norton and Darcy, so they don't really need Jamara. Very, very interesting. And then Adelaide Crows have traded Mitch Hinge to Port Adelaide for pick 17. That would have been the compensation pick for Butters, I'm guessing. Is that what that would have been? And then Freo have traded Michael Frederick to Essendon for a future second. Now, with that done, we can get into the draft, and we've got 14 picks to make, because obviously we don't have very many players anymore. And as we know, there is one player that we are going to draft. It is Elias Anderson, if I can find him. There he is, beautiful as ever, select player. Nothing much more for us to do with that first pick. It was fairly straightforward. And then with our second round pick, I'm actually quite happy to follow the advice of the AI. And we're going to go with Asher Caldwell, who is a key defender, has a little bit of potential. Also played for the Allies, so getting teammates with Anderson, who was our number 1 pick. So very, very interesting. And with that, the rest of our trade and draft period is now done. What our goal is for this upcoming season, I think at the end of the completion of the home and away season, we finish in the top 10. I think that is a reasonable goal. We get a nice signing bonus as well. And on top of that, we're going to beat 3 top 4 teams from last season and also gain 23,000 members in the AFL and AFLW combined. That should be fairly straightforward. I'm going to have a quick scout of what our best 23 is going to look like. And we'll see how the first sort of preseason game and round 1 goes. All things considered, I think I've done very, very well in the off-season. We've got Blixarves in that back pocket that we spoke about. Ben Miller at fullback. The number 1 pick, Elias Anderson, in that back pocket wearing the number 4, doing a good job. He hasn't played a game yet, but he's doing a good job. Then we've got Vlosten, Trainer, and Short across that half-back line, as it was for basically all of last season. Ewan McPherson, who we picked up in the draft, apart from those first couple of picks, where we went for a bit of potential, I just picked best player available for the rest of the national draft and rookie draft. And then we got Smiley, Richards, Butters, Layla, and De Koning to make up the rest of that midfield. Isaiah Winder at half forward, Jonty Fall, Taj Houghton, Harry Armstrong, Charlie Curnow, and Callum Brown in that forward pocket, with Nankervis as our captain and first ruck off the bench. Logan Evans, Ollie Lowe, Joel Trudgeon, and Milan Murdoch as the sub. And funnily enough, we have Port Adelaide in our first preseason game. How did we go? We lose at home, unfortunately, by 41 points. Who played well? Josh Smiley did good. Curnow kicked a few goals. Not too bad. And then we've got our traditional Thursday night game in round 1. We're not playing in opening round this year. We'll keep everything the same. Let's see how we go up against Carlton. To open the season, we lose by 10 in a pretty competitive fixture, although we're up by 40 inside the third quarter. We kick, they 1-6 in the final quarter. We were, no good, unfortunately, after being up by 39 points at halftime. But it shows that we've got a bit of promise. Let's see how the 2026 season treats us. Sydney defeat their grand final Demons, and they actually beat Fremantle in the grand final. So it was really a battle of losers in this year's grand final. Sydney end up winning their premiership after a 9-point lead at three-quarter time. They end up winning by 37. Errol Goulden gets Norm. Callum Mills, 40 disposals on a grand final day. Errol Goulden, where are you? What did you do that was so good? Because Murphy Reid, 32 disposals and 3 goals, probably should have done it. Errol Goulden, don't think he kicked 2 goals and had 31 disposals. Sure. Fine. Okay, look, awkward story. We finished last again and we traded away the number 1 pick, so we don't have that right now. That's in the hands of Carlton. So we've basically done a North Melbourne. So not good. We'll deal with that in a minute. But Tuk gets the Brownlow, does very well. Paddy Cripps, 28 votes in second. Matt Kennedy in third on 25. Again, no Richmond players, which understandably we didn't win that many games. Not a lot of work in our forward line either, considering we didn't win that much. And our Guy Anderson wasn't really anywhere near it in the Rising Star. So really poor form on the awards front for us. Although Mark Blixarves did make All-Australian, which is a little surprising. Nobody else made it though, but I can only say this season was a failure. Anything else, I'd be lying to you. I thought we were going to be at least a top 10 side this season. Not very good. Charlie Curnow led the goal kicking with 27. He probably didn't kick very straight, which wasn't ideal. Smiley again, 700 disposals in the season. Butters was very good. Layla getting more of the ball, which was nice. Ed Richards was a good complimentary piece as well. Who kicked the most behinds this year? If it was Curnow, which it wasn't, I don't know what I was going to do. But Jonty Fall, 19 goals, 68, wasn't fantastic. Ben King either got injured or decided that he could kick straight this season. Jed Walter down the bottom though, but Hayden McLean, 91 behinds on the season for him. And that brings us to the 2026 off-season, and now Nick Vlaston is a free agent, Miller is a free agent, Nankervis a free agent, and we have about $10 million to spend, and we only have 11 players who aren't contracted. So we're actually doing very, very well money-wise, so we could probably afford to splash the cash a bit more in this off-season. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. We'll just have to wait and see. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of Vlaston and Nankervis, obviously both of them Premiership players, and I want them to be a part of my next Premiership. So Vlaston, the reason that I'm keeping him is I think he's still got something to offer, same with Nankervis. Miller, I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with him. Vlaston only wants $700,000 a season, and he was on $1.2 million a season last year. So I think that is actually a very, very nice cut price deal for him. I'm very excited to bring him back to the club. Hopefully he will accept a 2-year deal at just under 700 grand. Actually, it's going to be bang on 700, and he does accept. Nankervis is wanting just over $1 million a season. Now, compared to what he was on last season, I'm actually quite happy to give him just over $1 million, because I think we may have been, because we were below the salary floor, we had to obviously pay up to get to the correct salary floor. Now, I think it was 1.05 is what it was. And he ended up actually making about $1.8 million last season. So that is the deal we're going to put forward for him. It's a 2-year deal. Now, in terms of the other uncontracted players, I should say, The one that I'm really interested in bringing back is Ben Miller. I think it's Ben Miller. Yes, Ben Miller. So, as I said, I don't know what direction I'm going to go with him in because he's closing in on 30 if my memory is correct. But there's also some younger guys that we picked up in the rookie draft last year. Guys like Leakalier, guys like Alga, who's actually quite a young player that we drafted. I would love to keep Maurice Rioli Jr., but he just isn't very good in-game, unfortunately. I think he's got a lot of potential in real life, but it's just not worked out. Bodie Ryan, again, another player with a bit of potential that we did pick up, but is not going to be wanting to re-sign due to his low morale. But we did pick him up just because he has a lot of potential and potentially could be used in a trade. Now, in terms of free agency, I actually haven't looked at free agency so far this year. I don't even know who the highest rated free agent is. Jesse Hogan. Now, would he be interested in coming back to Melbourne to play? Probably not. I assume he's quite happy on the Giants. I don't even know where the Giants finished last season. But yeah, I don't think any of these names in particular are that realistic, to be honest. Canelio, I think he's going to probably retire on the Giants, you would think. Tex and Dangerfield probably going to stay at their respective clubs. And then we're going to sort of really get into the lower tier free agents. Jamie Elliott's a no. The String, I think he's quite happy on the Giants. Johannesson could be a nice veteran option if he's wanting to leave the Bulldogs. I don't think that would be the case, but yeah, there's not a great deal of options in free agency. I don't even know what, delisted free agency looks like. Doesn't look like anybody's been delisted just yet. Perhaps we're a little bit early. But in terms of restricted free agency, these are the best names. I think if we were to go after someone, it would be someone like Jason Johannesson, just because he can play so many different positions in that sort of back half, sort of wing and backwards. I think he's very, very good. Nobody else I really see leaving their club. So we'll just wait and see what happens. And in terms of unrestricted free agency, we'll just have to wait and see as well. Kieran Briggs could be sort of an interesting third ruck, 26 years of age. I don't know. Mitch Duncan could join Blixarves. That would be an interesting one. But yeah, there's a lot of really, really interesting directions that we could go in. I've done my business in free agency, and I don't think there's actually that much for me to do. But I've signed 3 players. 2 of them I did discuss. One of them I had a bit of a longer think about, and I decided that actually might be a semi-realistic, you'll see in a minute. We've actually gone after Jamie Elliott, who I've heard bits and pieces throughout, AFL media, and, choose what you want to believe in AFL media. But obviously he is a free agent at the end of 2025 in real life, and he's looking for a longer contract. And Collingwood may not be wanting to give him, 2 or 3 year contract. So I'm basing it off of that logic. We need another small forward just to mentor some of our guys in that area. And I think he's going to be a good addition. And as we discussed, we've also picked up Johannesson and Mitch Duncan. All of these 3 players bring one thing: senior citizens cards. That is not the thing I was going to say, but they all bring Premiership experience. And I think that is something outside of, your Vlostons of the world, and I'm trying to think, Nankervis, and even Blixarves, who we recruited last season. There's not a lot of it on this list anymore. So hopefully, getting a few more guys in that have played in premierships before. We obviously sent a lot of guys out. We're going to try and bring some of that back into the club at a bit more age-effective and cost-effective measures. Trade period is now open. Now, I do want to have a quick look because we did trade away the number 1 draft pick to Carlton, and not intentionally, but we do have Charlie Curnow because of it, and I'm actually quite happy that we did, having looked at the draft pool, because the number 1 prospect is Aaron Proctor. He's 17 years old. He is actually a key forward, but I don't think he would nearly have been ready for us, to compete for a premiership in this sort of time that we're wanting to, because I'm trying to get this done obviously within 3 or 4 seasons, and I don't think he's going to be that for us. Is there anybody else that is super, super good that we probably could have used at the top of the draft board? I don't think so, as we head further and further down the line. So obviously, finishing last, not ideal, but if it meant getting Charlie Curnow on board, potentially for a premiership down the line. I still think the deal was worth it, even though that draft pick did turn into the number 1 pick. But if we have a look at some of the draft picks that we do have, we have 19, 20, and 28. So we obviously have 19, which is our own pick, and then it picks from other clubs due to, trying to think what we did in the last trade period. So as we can see, there's a lot of work for us to do. Now, I think what we need to do, because we did pick up a lot of players towards the back end of the rookie draft, so sort of everybody from Winder down, and these guys probably aren't going to be a part of our premiership side. So what I'm going to do is just try and combine all of those assets plus anybody else that I want to trade, combine them into something greater, and hopefully we can... I know we've finished with the wooden spoon the last 2 years, but my goal from here on out is to make finals every single season, no matter the cost. Obviously, I'm not going to, set the house on fire and, sell off all of my young assets. That's obviously what I'm building this team around. But I'm not going to be so strict on keeping everybody under the age of 20. We may lose 1 or 2, but I'm not going to absolutely sell the farm. My trade business is now done, and I think I have done exceptionally well considering the assets that we did have at the start of the trade period. We didn't have our first round pick. We had a few second round picks, but I think I've done well, and I've also signed some additional free agents just to fill out the back of our list. I will just quickly say, some of the names that I have recruited, I've done very, very well. I'm not going to say they are realistic, but what I traded for them, probably compared to their real life value, not necessarily realistic, but what they are in game, I will say is realistic, if that makes sense. So Ben Miller, Sims, who's probably the worst of our key forward assets, I guess, and a second round pick at pick 29. We have sent to the Gold Coast Suns for Mac Andrew. Now, Mac Andrew is one of my favorite players in the competition. I just think he's one of the probably the highest rated young players in the competition, and he gives us something that we don't necessarily have, and that's a really big athletic player that can play at both ends of the ground. Now, I think he is probably going to float between sort of key defense and half forward. I don't ever think he'll play sort of at full forward or anything, considering we do have Charlie Curnow. But we've also addressed losing, I think it's Thomas Sims is his name, by picking up Aaron Cadman. Now, his rating is obviously based from the start of the season, not where he is now. So we've sent McAuliffe, Jake Sutar, and 2 third-round picks off to the Giants for Aaron Cadman. He's probably going to play at half forward, not necessarily like centre half forward, more like a half forward flank. Just running around on that left boot, I think he's going to be really, really good. We've also traded for the Scottish suitcase Hugh McCluggage. We've sent 20 and 21 off to Brisbane, along with Daniel Annabelle and Dylan Sharp. Annabelle's actually one of their academy players who's probably likely to get drafted in real life. And I also thought McCluggage, just another good premiership experienced midfielder who is going to help out our young guys in the middle of the ground there. And these next couple of trades are just sort of salary dumps. So Hickmott, Murdoch, Banks, and Trezise off to the Crows for 2 third-round picks. Same with Brown, Olga, Porter, and Winder off to Melbourne for a future second and third. And our last trade is Callum, Brown, and Lee Collier, along with that second-round pick that we got, I believe, from Melbourne for Sydney's future first-round pick next year. Now, they finished at the top of the ladder this year and won the Premiership, so I don't expect that to be a super high pick, but I think, never hurts having an additional first-round pick in next year's draft. And in regards to the free agents that we did sign, we now have 31 players listed on our list with a whole lot of cap space, just under $4.4 million to spend. We also picked up Tom McDonald in free agency, just another big body, premiership experience. We're just continuing that theme of premiership experience. Justin McInerney was a free agent. Didn't look like he was getting an offer from the Swans, so we're going to bring him in. Probably not going to be a mainstay of our midfield, but just a good player, reliable, can do a job for us. And Sam Flanders, another one of my favourite players from the Gold Coast Suns, gave him a big offer, and he has now come home to play for Richmond. Offered him an 8-year deal. Probably going to play either half back or half forward, I dare say. But I'm done. My draft work, I'm not going to do a great deal of stuff in the draft. I don't even know when our first pick is. It's at pick 45. But my off-season focus here, we never thought it was going to be on the draft anyway. I'm quite happy with the business we've done. There's nothing really more for me to say other than I'm happy with the business I've done. Let's have a look at how the remainder of the trade period plays out. And we can see that the first trade of the trade period was Ollie Henry getting traded to the Hawks for a future first-round pick. Cody Waitman got sent to the Doggies. That's not right. Cody Waitman got sent to the Lions from the Dogs in exchange for an unused pick and pick 22. Jack Kinnifan's been traded to Geelong for pick 8. D'Ambrosio's been traded to Carlton for pick 6. And then we're sort of getting into our trades here. Then we've got Port Adelaide sending Georgiades a future first. Georgiades being traded for a future first and pick 18 to the Swans. That's a very interesting trade. Tom McCartan getting traded to the Giants, crossing town for a future second. The Swans getting very active in this trade period. Joel Amarty's been traded the Coleman medalist for pick 28 and pick 36. Matt Rao has been traded to Melbourne for a future first round pick and pick 12. Darcy Wilmot has been traded to Port for pick 9 and pick 18. That's a great trade for Brisbane. Hayden McLean's off to the Saints for a future second. Kai Lohmann's off to Port for future picks. And then lastly, Matthias Philippou and pick 40 has been traded to Essendon for a future first and pick 7. That seems like an absolute steal for St Kilda. And as we get into the draft this year, we only have 7 players that we do need to pick up. Our first pick's actually going to be coming along at pick 41, not pick 45 like I thought. And I think I'm just going to go for AFL ready guys in this one. We can see that Braden Fiorini is available. We'll take him. That's fine. And so is Marcus Windager, apparently. So we're just going to load up on these experienced players not being re-signed by their clubs for whatever reason. And I don't expect all of these players to play week in, week out. Blake Laidless here, very good. But I think just having the options on our list, I can actually see that Billy Wilson is available. How much potential does he have? Because if he has a little bit, not enough to entice me on drafting him. But if we have enough sort of quality assets, even as backups, I think we're going to be just fine heading into next season. Herbert, Hobbs. We'll go with Hobbs. I think used to play for Essendon. I think that's correct, Ben Hobbs. If I'm remembering correctly. We could go Wilson here. I think this is where we go for Wilson. Go for another young player. And then we're going to pick up a couple of rucks here as well. Because I think outside of Nankervis and De Koning, I don't even know if we have that many. I can also see that we delisted Bodie Ryan. So we're actually going to draft him back as well. Because we know he was very, very good in the reserves for us last year. And I think he still has a bit of potential and can make a difference for us on our list. And then with our final picks, let's just pick the highest rated players available. And I think our objective for next season, I'm actually going to reach for the stars next year. Let's try and finish in the top 8 and be placed in the top 6 positions by the end of the season. Because I think we're going to finish in the top 12 across 8 different rounds. But I also think that winning a grand final is probably a little bit rich considering where we've come from, in that we've finished at the bottom of the ladder last year. In addition to that, apparently we need to try and win 2 finals. I don't know how that's going to go. And we're going to try and not lose 4 games in a row. It could go literally either way. Now, I don't know how our preseason game against the Suns is going to go. We've got a better team than last year for sure. I just got to find the right balance between youth and experience, and hopefully we'll work out something that can lead us to at least a finals appearance this year. I'm not too fussed if we don't meet our objectives. I just want to finish in the top 8. And I think we're going to go with something that looks a little bit like this. Now, there is a little bit of something that I have changed, which I am going to quickly discuss. I have changed Nick Vlaston's Guernsey number from 1 to 17. As I'm sure the Tiger fans will know, and some other fans in the AFL will know, previously, the captain of the team wore number 17 in honor of Jack Dyer, I believe is who it is. And he wore number 17. And every year, whoever was the captain wear number 17 And then when they weren't the captain anymore, that number would be passed on to the new captain. So we're given Vlosten the captaincy for this upcoming season, as I think Nankervis, I know they're the same age, actually, funnily enough, but Nankervis is just moving into that next phase of his career. And I'm going to put De Koning in the starting lineup and Vlosten at half-back. So that's just a quick thing I am mentioning. Jamie Elliott's wearing number 1 down that forward pocket. But the new starting lineup for this year, we've got Blixarves, Trainer, Elias Anderson in that back pocket. We've got Vlosten, Mac Andrew at centre half-back, Jaden Short on the other half-back flank, with the Colonel, Sam Flanders, Josh Smiley, Ed Richards, Zach Butters, and Hugh McCluggage in that midfield. That is beautiful. With De Koning in the ruck, Aaron Cadman on the half-forward flank, running around onto that left boot, Harry Armstrong, Layla on the other half-forward flank, with Taj Houghton, Charlie Curnow at full forward, Jamie Elliott in that forward pocket, Toby Nankervis as the second ruck, with Johannesson, Jonty Fall, Asher Caldwell, who we picked up in the draft last year, and Justin McInerney as the sub. And we win our preseason game pretty comfortably in the end. It's a 51-point lead up on the Gold Coast as well. Anderson off of half-back kicking 5, a phenomenal performance. Very, very happy with how we've gone in this first preseason game. And we tick off a few objectives as well, which is always nice. Let's get through to round 1. We're going to go through our training. We do well. That is lovely. Team rating's now an 82 overall. I don't know where it was when we started, but we're certainly a lot better along. Can we win in round 1? No, we can't. We put up a decent fight in that final quarter, but we cannot get the job done in the end. Cripps with the 3 votes, potentially looking at another Brownlow medal, 40 disposals and 4 goals. What a performance by the great man. The home and away portion of the season is now done, and we do sneak into the top 8 in the end. We're actually flirting with the top 4 for probably the first 2/3 of the season, but a bit of fatigue, I think, towards the end really ruined our chances of getting a top 4 finish in the end. But we do have a elimination final at the G up against Hawthorn. Unfortunately, it won't be our home game. As you can see, we've basically gone with the same side all year long. Haven't really changed it around. But hopefully we can get something going up against the Hawks today. In this one, we're through to the semis. Dominate from the go. Connor Nash actually finishes best on with McCluggage and Smiley playing very, very well. Butters getting a bit of the ball. Fantastic work. We're now going to be meeting the Giants up at NG Stadium. They ended up finishing in 3rd, so very, very interesting. Freo finished in 1st, having lost the grand final last year. The Swans finished in 5th, won the grand final last year. I don't actually know how they went up against Geelong. Well, I guess we'll find out at the end of the video. We're going to keep it the same from here. And we lose, unfortunately, up against the Giants. It's actually pretty close. Fairly late into the 3rd quarter, but they just kick away towards the end. Too good. Tom Green gets the votes. Sam Layla, not too bad. Not our year, unfortunately. And Nat Fyfe, of all people, comes back. I don't know how old he is at this point. 36 years of age. Comes back and wins a Brownlow medal. That's his 3rd, so what a performance by the old boy. I was very, very close to signing him in free agency, but I opted against it in the end. Jai Newcomb in 2nd, Jai Clark also in 3rd, having a good season for the Cats. Coleman medal time. We can see that Aaron Norton, 49 goals, was very, very good. The Texan still going. How many goals does he have now? 771. His career is just looking like it's never going to end. Phil Thorpe, Waterman, Charlie Curnow and Jamie Elliott getting us some goals. I like what I've seen from our guys. It's good to see a little sneaky Jack Whitlock down the bottom there. And the Rising Star, we didn't draft anybody, so I'm not that worried about it. And we can see that Tom De Koning made the All-Australian team, and I believe he is the only one. But I'm actually quite happy with how we've gone this season. We were aiming for top 8, and that's exactly what we get. So we're sort of out of the doldrums now. We can see that Melbourne eventually won the Premiership up against Geelong. If I can actually go over and have a look. Very, very good performance. Who gets the Norm It is Harvey Langford. Very, very solid performance. Matt Rao gets his first premiership. Very, very well done, Melbourne. And at the end of our season, we didn't quite get that second finals win we were after. We didn't lose 4 games in a row all year, which was nice. And we obviously tick off our other objective. But now we've got to have a look at our contract situation for 2027. And we can see that we actually have a lot of uncontracted players, mainly a lot of our younger players that were drafted in 2024. Now, that is something that I'm not going to address all of the contracts on camera because that'll take forever. But there's a lot of players here that I do want to keep. It's just a matter of seeing who's actually interested in staying. Okay, I believe I have addressed everybody. Now, we actually only have 9 players left that aren't contracted. We signed up all of our really good young talent. Even though I may trade some, I just want to make sure that everybody, I can't delist anybody accidentally, basically is what I'm doing here. Now, 9 players left. We've got a bit of money to spend, about 3.1, actually just on $3 million, basically. McPherson's gone, Nelson's gone. All of these players, I'm happy just to move on, trade for whatever I need to trade. In terms of what free agency is going to be looking like, I have no idea who's even a free agent. So if we have a look, we can see there's a bit of Lockie Neal, a bit of Treloar. I don't think any of those guys really make a difference in our team at this point, just because our midfield is already quite good. I think we need to address probably another really good key forward. We may need to move on one of either Jonty Fall or Armstrong, because I feel like having 2 of them is a little redundant, or at least another really good, like, medium-sized forward. Now, I don't know who that is. We'll just have to wait and see who's available. I would love Toby Green. I just don't think he's leaving the Giants is the only thing. And Isaac Rankin obviously isn't leaving the Crows. Trent Rivers could be an option, but I see him as more of a midfielder than a forward. He's not really medium-sized. He's like a medium midfielder, but he's not a medium forward. Elliot Yeo, Pendlebury-led, no. What an active trade period this was. It was just a series of trades that just... I had 3 players that I wanted to get on my team, and it took me 7 trades to get it done. Goodness me. Okay, so the first player that I wanted was another key defender, because obviously we had McAndrew, we have Luke Trainer, almost forgot his name, and Jacob Wiedering. I still think he's one of the best key defenders in the AFL. And we had an abundance of key forwards that I could move on, and younger assets that I could move on to then just sort of piece together this trade. We've got pick 13, which I believe was our own pick, if I remember correctly. We also sent Harry Armstrong and Bodie Ryan, who we redrafted, who we delisted last year, redrafted, now we've traded him, off to Carlton for pick 27 and Wiedering, so welcome aboard him. Our next trade is for our sort of medium-sized forward, and we picked up Dylan Moore, which is actually a very, very straightforward deal that got done a lot quicker than I thought it was. It was Blake Laidler and Ben Wilson. I can't think of it right now. Apologies. I know he used to play for St Kilda, but wait, in this universe at least. Anyway, that was the only deal for... There was no picks involved in this one, which is actually a little bit surprising, considering who my last target was, and I'll just give you a clue. They play for Fremantle. It took me 4 other trades to get this deal done. We had to send Smith and Hobbs, who we picked up in the draft last year, pick 27, which we got from Carlton, as well as pick 34, which we must have picked up somewhere along the way. We sent that off to Geelong for their pick 11 in the first round. We then sent Logan Evans, Friorini, Oscar Lowe, and I'm just going to say Elle McPherson. I think it's Ewan McPherson, but Elle McPherson for comedy. Off to Port Adelaide for pick 22. And then we sent Nelson, Herbert, our future second, and Tom McDonald, the Tom McDonald experiment. I don't even think he played for us last year. Sent him off to North Melbourne for pick 19. And then we went 19, 22, and Marcus Windhager off to Brisbane for pick 9. And then eventually it was 11, 9, a future first, off to Freo for Jordan Clark. Goodness gracious me, it took ages to get those deals done. We're now down to 28 players on our list, and we've actually not got a lot of cap space. We may have to do a salary dump at some point. I'm not sure who that's going to be. I know if we don't win a premiership in this upcoming season. We do have a lot of money coming off the books next year in the form of Nankervis, Elliott, Johannesson, Duncan, and Vlosten. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. But my draft hand now for this season and next season is now very empty. I'm basically done. If this team isn't a top 4 team by the end of the season, I'm going to be furious. I've just noticed I've not done the stats for this upcoming season. Let's just quickly do that here. Norton, obviously we know one kicked the most goals. Oh my God, I can't get my words out. Charlie Curnow actually finished second in the AFL for goals last year. Jamie Elliott up there as well. So depending on how he goes this upcoming season, probably not going to let him go. But in terms of our team individually, we've got Curnow, Elliott, Cadman, Armstrong, and Luke Traynor actually leading the goal kicking for us. All of those guys kicking above 30 goals. Hugh McCluggage, probably our best player last season. 891 disposals, did an astounding job. Smiley was fantastic once again. Zach Butters was great. And who wins the idiot hat for most behinds this year? It is Josh Tracy, 93 behinds, solid effort. And heading into the draft, we can see that Trent Rivers has signed with the Gold Coast Suns. Melbourne get a bit of compensation due to free agency. Paul Curtis is off to Melbourne for pick 18 from Melbourne. And then Logan McDonald has been traded to the West Coast Eagles, returning to his home state in exchange for a future second and pick 23. Darcy Jones has been sent from the Giants to the Bombers in exchange for some second rounders. Errol Gordon's gone to the Crows for a future first and pick 9. And these are our trades that we did cover not too long ago. Taylor Goad has been traded to Carlton for pick 6. Elijah Hollands has been traded to the West Coast Eagles for pick 31. And Angel Ponce, I'm not familiar with him, must be a rookie auto-generated player. The Burger King has been traded to North Melbourne for pick 24. Colby McKercher's been traded along with pick 51 for an unused pick and pick 2 to St Kilda. Fremantle have received the number 1 pick as compensation for losing Josh Draper to Carlton. Sure, that's okay. I don't know where Freo finished on the ladder, so we'll have to have a look at that in a minute. Ethan Reid is now a member of Port Adelaide. He got traded along with pick 17 for a future first and pick 11. Geelong have traded Shannon Neal to Melbourne for a future first. Judd McVie has also been traded to North Melbourne for a second round pick. Now Josh Draper is now signed with Carlton. Now, I need to have a look at Draper here because I wouldn't have thought he would be band 1. Now, let's have a look. Freo get a player. They get the number 1 pick for a player who's a 72 overall. Right. I'm guessing they finished on the bottom of the ladder. They finished on top of the ladder. That doesn't make any sense, but sure. But they don't even have the number 1 pick. Brisbane do. So I have no idea what's happening in this draft, to be honest. North Melbourne have so many picks at the top of the draft, but we enter at pick 41, as I think we did last season as well. And we're going to head straight into the James Leake direction. He is one of my favourite players in the AFL. I have no reason to rationalise it. He just is. Billy Dowling was our next pick. I believe he used to play for the Crows. He did play for the Crows. Yes, I'm correct. Okay, let's see who else is here. I can see that Jack Alf? I have no idea how to say that guy's surname. Let's just have a look, see who the best player available is. And it's actually Zerk Thatcher. So that is actually the player that we are going to pick up. We've got a few picks that we do need to make, so I'm quite happy just to keep selecting best player available until we get towards the back end of our sort of the draft. And there's actually quite a few Port Adelaide players that are being delisted. So I'm either thinking they ran out of cap space and couldn't pay everybody, or they just don't like their young players. I don't know what it is, but we'll just have to wait and see. I think this is where we draft Jack. I'm just going to call him Jack from now on. I think that is the best course of action. We're going to pick him up here. Heading into the 2028 season, I think is where we're up to. I think we're a chance to win the Premiership this year, so we're going to go for the major objective in winning the Premiership. We've got a ton of money available to us. Let's upgrade some of our facilities. If we have a look at our other objectives, we got to win 6 games at the G this year coming up, and then we got to win 7 games in total. So very easy objectives, just in the grand scheme of things. Let's repair the medical facilities. Let's also upgrade our turf and make sure that that is pristine coming into the new season. Preseason was very, very easy. 85-point win up against the Eagles. Nothing really to talk about here. They're still struggling at the bottom of the ladder while we are flying in the last season or two. Actually, it's just been last season, to be perfectly honest. 2028 is here. And as always, we do have our traditional Carlton game at the G. And the squad rating up to an 84 now. We've still got Vlosten as the skipper, Luke Traynor, Jaden Short in that back pocket, Elias Anderson already up to 50 career games for him. Wiedering at centre half back, right, or sort of in his prime, I would say, right on the edge of his prime. And by the edge, I mean the edge of coming out of it, I guess. Jordan Clark at half back, he is right in the middle of his prime. We've got Sam Flanders on that wing, Josh Smiley. I'm going to be trying something a little bit different with Mac Andrew. I think now that Wiedering is here, he's going to play like the Matthew Richardson 2008 almost won the Brownlow medal role, if that makes sense. So he's going to just be that really athletic, wing-to-wing, fantastic player. We've got Butters, McCluggage, De Koning in the midfield, then Dylan Moore at half forward, Caddyshack, Sam Layla, Taj Houghton, Charlie Curnow, Jamie Elliott, and then on the bench, we've got Nankervis, Ed Richards, Blixarves, Jonty Fall, and McInerney as the sub. Let's see how we go. Round 1. Hopefully we can be decent. It's a big win early on. 48 points to start the year. McCluggage with the votes did a fantastic job. 45 disposals to start the year. Hot start. And then Collingwood in round 2. We may as well do this one as well. Let's not skip past it. Let's just play it, see how we go. We are 2-0 to start the year. This is a good sign. 28 finals. I'll see you there. Started from the bottom and now we are here. We're going to go to the ladder. We finished top of the ladder. We actually won our first 7 games and then I think we lost 3 out of 5, just sort of in that middle portion of the season. But I think we've won the last 6 as well. So we're doing very, very good right now. And we had a bit of a helping hand in the mid-season draft. We'll have a look at that in a minute. But the Bombers finish in 2nd. Doggies in 3rd. We're going to be playing Melbourne in our qualifying final. But as I said, we did get some help in the mid-season draft by Big Boy McAvoy. And where is he? Smokin' Joe Richards. Bit of a cult hero on my Port Adelaide series. So hopefully he can wish us a little bit of luck here. I don't think he's going to play at any point, but he's just here, as well as Big Boy McAvoy. We've made a couple of changes to the lineup just through the course of the season. Ed Richards, his overall rating has just fallen off of a cliff, so he's now become the sub, as has, where the hell are you, Mark Blixarves. He's now 79. I think he was an 83 at one point. So we've got Joe Richards there, should we need him. Now, depending on where we go. But I've brought James Leake into the lineup, as well as Justin McInerney, who previously was the sub. Everybody else seems to be doing okay player rating-wise. Mac Andrews up to an 84. Smiley's up to an 84. The Colonel's up to an 89. We're doing very, very well. I like where we're at. This is the season. We're going to win the Premiership this season. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I think we're a real shot and we lose in a qualifying final. We're actually up by a couple of goals in the middle of that last quarter. And I've just seen it was 8 goals to 11 in that final quarter. That is absolutely astounding. Mac Andrew kicked 3. Jesus. We really could have used the week off, but unfortunately we are not going to get it. We're going to actually play the Giants. This time at home, not at NG Stadium as we did. I think we played them at NG Stadium last season. We win the semi-final by 109 points. The Giants are out of here. We kicked 30 goals on the day. McCluggage had 42, Smiley 39. Layla, 32 disposals and 4 goals was fantastic. But the poor GWS Giants, it was a close game at halftime. It was 18 goals to 2 in the second half. I have no idea what happened. And we're going to go into our prelim this time against the Doggies. We're going to go unchanged as we have from the start of the finals. And we're through to the granny. 36-point win. 12 goals to us in the final quarter to 4 for the Dogs. Butters, 3 votes, I should say, on the day. Smiley, 37 disposals and 4 goals. It's a little bit stiff, actually, not to get the 3 votes. But still, fantastic effort. We are going to be in the grand final. I have no idea who we're up against. If it's Melbourne, that'll be hilarious. It's the Crows. It had to be the Crows. It's a replay of 2017. And the Crows actually finished in 6th this year. So hopefully we'll be okay. I don't actually think we have any Crows players on our team. So no revenge series in this grand final. I'm just having a look player rating wise. Is there anything that we need to change? I don't think so. We should be okay. Richards is going to be fine. Do I bring in Big Boy McAvoy, who I gave 99 just because I thought that'd be hilarious, but I don't think I will. We'll keep it as is. I'm just going to quickly change the quarter length to 2.5 minutes because we are not playing a full game. Not today, at least. We're going to play as our good selves. The last time we played in a grand final against the Crows, we wore the yellow and black kit, and I think that is going to serve us well in this grand final. And what a fantastic day for football as well. Clear skies, a little bit of breeze. Very rarely do we have poor conditions on grand final day, which I must say I'm very much happy about. And we've got Stone Cold Nick Vlauston leading us out in what perhaps could be his final game for the Tigers if we win this grand final. Wearing the yellow and black kit, not the black and yellow kit that did us so well in the 2017 grand final. If we do the power stance, is that in poor taste? Anyway, I'm very excited for this one. We've recruited very well over the course of our last 2 seasons. And I think this might be the first rebuild that we've done where we've gotten 2 wooden spoons in course to making a grand final. And as the guys line up, there is definitely not Adam Uze, but I'm very, very keen to see what these young Tigers can do. And out come the Crows. Tex Walker still in the league. God knows how. I haven't seen Rory Laird, but I can see Matt Crouch. So we've got at least 2 of the Crows that played in that grand final. We'll just have to see if I can spot Rory Laird. I haven't seen him just yet. Doesn't mean he's not there. And here they come through the banner, charging through, wearing the state colours. And what a grand final this will be. And a fantastic job, as always, at the national anthem. We're going to call heads on the toss. Let's see how kind that coin is to us. The Crows have won it, and they're going to kick to the left. Hype music, check. Power stance, check. Let's launch the ball forward straight away. We can't. Hugh McCluggage gets wrapped up by Sam Berry. Fantastic effort by the young man. Kicks to an even younger man in Dan Curtin. And great hands by Jacob Wiedering. Fantastic addition in the off-season. Kicking down the line. Big fly from Jamie Elliott to start the grand final. Ball over the top to Dylan Moore. Let's kick down to full forward. Charlie's down there, but it's the Colonel instead. And what a perfect start to the grand final this would be, except he's crapped the bed. And we get the first score on the day. And we can confirm Rory Laird is playing because he is right there. So 3 members of the Crows team today played in that 2017 grand final. I don't know how many there would be for us. Like Nankervis definitely did. Vloston did. Jaden Short probably did. I'm trying to think who else it would be. I think that's probably it. So 3 apiece. As Wiedering takes another good contested mark at centre half back. Taj Houghton has a lot to do. Just clunks it in the Dukes. Kicking down to centre half forward now. Cadman takes the mark. Number 1 pick in 2023. From right on the 50. Slots it through for Richmond's first. Perfect start for the Tigers. Only 1 goal in the quarter so far. We've already got 15 minutes on the clock. Trying to find a target forward. It's a good gang tackle. Doesn't go very far though. De Koning and Curtin. I heard a fantastic joke the other day that the Crows have Curtin and Draper in the same team. And I don't know who the third combination in that lineup would be. And Dylan Moore takes the mark inside 50. Like if Daley Blind who used to play for Manchester United played AFL, I think he would be the perfect one. Having Draper, Curtin and Blind in the team as we hit the post. But a fantastic tackle by Layla. Another ball up inside forward 50. So a slow start on a scoring front for both teams. Handball wide. Quick kick on goal. Actually hits the top of the goal square. And Charlie Curnow, the Coleman medalist, wearing the number of another famous Coleman medalist. And I feel like he may have shanked this kick, funnily enough. And he has, unfortunately. So 1 goal 3 for the Tigers to start the game. Crows haven't even looked like scoring. I don't even know if they've entered their forward half. But Cadman, really good start for him. McCluggage getting a bit of the ball, as is Rory Laird. I didn't even know if he was playing earlier, but he is. Let's see if we can just really work on our good, really good forward defense, because the Crows have just not looked like scoring. The former skipper Nankervis in the ruck now. Let's see what the old fella can do. I have no idea how old he is at this point in time, but a great work in the middle of the ground down to McCluggage. Couldn't find the target, unfortunately, as Saligo, a very nice set of hands at halfback. Risky ball. Doesn't hit Rankin on the full. Gang tackle once again inside forward 50. There's the forward pressure we spoke about. Nankervis once again. Loose hands. Nobody home. And the Crows just trying to work it out. Ball to space. The number 1 pick, Anderson, giving chase to Curtin. Great tackle. Another ball up. 5 minutes gone in the second quarter. Nankervis and Curtin, again, just working the ball out. We can't find a player with the hands. And now the Crows finally kicking in towards their forward half. But James Leake, someone we picked up in the draft last year, which is actually really surprising he's playing today, just considering some of the downfall of some of our older players. And Jacob Wiedering once again at sort of centre half back was really good. Dylan Moore already had a bit of it today. Ball goes to ground courtesy of Michael Laney. Good tackle by Moore. Recovers the ball. Let's kick down to centre half forward. Taj Houghton has Saligo to deal with. Handball over the top. Layla, the number 1 pick, kicks backwards. What are you doing, idiot? Now McCluggage. Let's think about this. We've got players long. It's 3 on, well, it was 3 on 1 for a little while. Jonty Fall trying to pick it up. Can't pick it up. Ball's cleared by the Crows. They do well. Great fist from behind by Clark. Nankervis thought about running and decided, nah, I'm too old for that. Wiedering once again with another intercept mark. Jonty Fall can't take the mark. There's a player over the top if we can find him. It's Jamie Elliott, and he takes it on the chest. Looking for the Tigers' second on the day. A little bit to the left, but it's good. Draper kicking it forward. Finds Anderson. Really good hands at halfback. has been just one of those low-key operators over the course of our campaign. We had a player open. We probably could have taken a shot, actually, but I've kicked way too far, so it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But a fantastic first half in this grand final. Just the one goal on the quarter for us. We're getting plenty of ball. Elliott and Cadman, the goal kickers. McCluggage, 6 disposals for him. Smiley, 6 as well. All of them handballs, surprisingly enough. Wiedering has 4 intercept marks at halfback. He has to be an early contender for Norm. Second half whistle goes. Let's see what we can conjure up in this second half. We hit it down, but it's straight to a Crow. Didn't see who it was. Ball loose in the contest. Smiley. Handballs forward. Butters over the top. Gives it off. De Koning sends it down to full forward. McAndrews down there. Spent a bit of time off in the second quarter on the bench. Just wasn't really that effective on the wing today. Let's see if he can get a goal for us. First of the second half. Puts it through. And Curtin wraps up De Koning very nicely. I'm surprised they didn't take the advantage there. Short little ball. Finds Rochelle. A serial pest if I've ever seen one. Fogarty's down there. But it's actually Isaac Rankin who takes the contested mark. Fantastic hands. He's already had a little bit of it today. Only the 2 disposals. But puts through the Crows first. Another clearance for the Tigers. That's a high tackle. Draper hanging on a little bit too long in the tackle. McAndrew down there. Can't take the mark. But is going to run into an open goal and just slow down at the last minute. Winters does a fantastic job chasing down the big athlete. Down the line now. Connor McDonald was traded from Hawthorn to the Crows at the end of season 1. Great hands from Wiedering on the Texan, who hasn't even sniffed it today. Hasn't heard the ball either with those massive ears. Handball over the top. Andrew trying to get one back. Can't. Smiley can't take the mark. There are players everywhere just hunting down these Crows like they're an endangered species. And McCluggage takes the mark. Let's go down to full forward once more. Smiley, Goulden. Smiley takes the mark. Handball over the top. Was looking for McCluggage. Not McCluggage. But we finally put it through. I meant to say McAndrew. Smiley ends up with it. Quick little chip over the top. Doesn't find a target. That's incorrect disposal. And Jamie Elliott going to be lining up for a second here. And 3/4 time you think wouldn't be that far away. Slow approach to goal. On 3/4 time. Puts through his second. And it's a 27-point lead going into the final change. And the sub has been made. Ed Richards into the game for Zach Butters. He's had enough. 27-point lead. Can we finish strong? I'm assuming we will, but you never know. Dylan Moore over the top. Very easy inside 50. And Taj Houghton takes the mark. Going to be kicking from about 40 meters out. Sets it wide. It's offline, unfortunately. Riley O'Brien been fairly anonymous today. De Koning has been all over him. And when it hasn't been De Koning, it's been Nankervis. Big fly from behind by Winters. He's actually had a very solid game, all things considered. Quick ball inside 50. Can't get boot to it. That's not 15. Panic. Panic. I don't know why I'm panicking. We're a fair way up. O'Brien kicks wide. Looking for Charlie Edwards. Finds him. Short little ball. Inside finds Berry. Down the line now. Trainer coming from behind. Takes it in his hands. Fantastic effort. Now looking for Layla. Can't take the mark. Probably should have gone to mark it in his hands. That's a high tackle. Poor timing there. Short ball inside to McDonald. Now Fogarty playing a bit further up the ground than traditionally. Now Beasley. Fantastic man bun. Trainer. Another intercept mark. We can afford to take our time a little bit more. Now Cadman. Kicks it down. Kerno running from inside 50. Takes it in front of him. Let's have a shot with him. Hasn't kicked a goal today. Obviously, we paid a great price to get him. Giving up what would eventually become the #1 pick. Not that that was our intention. Kerno, another miss on the game, unfortunately for him. But even though he may not kick a goal today, you would have to say the price has been worth it. considering that he was leading our goal kicking last season. He did reasonably okay in that season where we did finish last. And now we've got Jaden Short, who's going to kick it short, looking for Jamie Elliott. And let's take another goal opportunity with the little fella. Came across from Collingwood as a free agent, and I have to say he's been a revelation, actually. I'm a little surprised Collingwood let him go. But for a third on grand final day, on the siren, puts a one in for the Tigers. And he's going to be a sneaky opportunity for a Norm Smith medal. And just like that, the Tigers are premiers once again, kings of the jungle. It was the third quarter that blew the game open, 3-1 in it. But a fantastic performance. Elliott with the 3 goals. McCluggage, Butters, Smiley all getting a lot of the ball. Wiedering with the intercept marks was so good today. But you'd have to say that there are probably 3 or 4 players that have a chance at winning the Norm Smith medal. But if it was my vote, I'd give it to Wiedering. They'll probably give it to Jamie Elliott. And that is exactly what they do. But I must say, he does deserve it. Not to say that others don't. But he was absolutely exceptional today. Kicked the 3 goals and got us home in the end. And here is Adam Uze getting his Jock McHale medal. Nick Vlosten on that stage. Now a Premiership captain. And you'd have to say at the end of 2028, he's probably retiring. And now for the 4th time in 11 years, those Tigers are going to be lifting that Premiership Cup. Probably the 2nd greatest dynasty of the 21st century, just behind the 2000s Hawthorn Hawks and the 2010s Hawthorn Hawks. 4 premierships this century. What a job the Tigers have done. And the voting committee on my screen did get it right. Jamie Elliott with the 3 votes, Wiedering with the 2, and McCluggage with the 1. Here are your top statistical getters, I guess is what you would call them. Objectives-wise, we got 5 hit-outs. That was lovely. But our job here is done. Now, I'm sorry this one didn't come out last Friday. I was recording it, and then I got a massive headache, and it basically made the rest of the video impossible to record. So I do apologize for that. But as I said at the start of the episode, this will try and be just a Friday thing going forward. So we're going to sort of put one out here at the start of the week on a Monday, and then we'll just go from there. You've got the rest of the week to vote on who you want to see done next. We need to quickly do our end of season awards before we wrap things up here. McCluggage finishes 3rd in the Brownlow, was very good. Tom Green gets it, and Matt Rao actually finishes in 2nd. Sam Darcy, Coleman medalist here. No Richmond players, funnily enough, even though I think Charlie Curnow finished 2nd last year, and then nobody on the Rising Star either. That's not too surprising. But all Australians, I can already see 3 of them. I haven't even scrolled down yet. Mac Andrew, Tom DeConing, Hugh McCluggage. Anybody else? Aaron Cadman in a forward pocket. So 4 all Australians on the year this year. And if we have a look league-wide, we can see the rest of the goal kickers. So Cadman did well. Jamie Elliott, once again, was astounding. League disposal getters. McCluggage actually led the league in disposals, which was really nice. We can see Smiley's on that list as well. And if we just have a look at the rest of the team, Curnow got some goals. Flanders, Moore, Clark, Houghton, you name it, they're there. Fantastic effort. McCluggage just below the 1,000 disposal threshold. And did anybody kick 100 behinds? No, but Cadman did kick 84, Curnow 76, so still wasteful in front of goal. But I'm very happy with how we played in this final season. We went bottom 2, or we finished last the first 2 seasons, then we finished in the top 8, then top of the ladder, and now premiers. What a performance by our good selves. But that's it. We're done. I'm going to edit it, and then hopefully our next rebuild will be out on Friday. You've got until probably halfway through Thursday to vote. I'll put a poll up sometime this evening, and then we'll go from there. But thank you very much for watching up until this point. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. And until then, I hope you have a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you guys then. Bye.